Kelsay and I are both collaborators in the Modern Day High Priestess book through Hope Publishing. My chapter is more so the mother wound.
Well, I can't wait to read your chapter.
Show me the beautiful somatic exercises. Can you tell me a little bit of the background of these exercises?
So this exercise that I thought would be great to do today is for grounding and feel sort of the roots of their ancestors. And this exercise is great to kind of connect to your lineage, connect to your own personal roots, and that grounding energy coming up into your body.
I love that. Well, can you show me how that's done?
Imagine there are roots coming out from your hips and fanning down into the earth like a skirt of roots that goes directly to the earth's core. Sway your hips gently.
To have movement, but to stay grounded.
Yeah, I'm kind of releasing anything that isn't mine through those roots, giving it back to the earth to transmute. When I do that, I can walk differently, like more power in my steps.
Feels like you're walking in your truth.
Right, exactly. To really return to that source of your own wisdom and take a stand.
This
really,
is where you shine.
Yes.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting a name to this for me.
Yes.
Cheers. So, Kelsay, tell us a bit about the work you do in California and how has it been being back in Michigan for a bit?
I do expressive arts therapy and transformational life coaching in California, although I can see clients all over the world on Zoom. And it's great to see my family and really touch back in with my own roots. And I feel like Michigan is very grounding and that sort of baseline support. To California, it's much more free and airy. There's the mountains, there's the sun.
It's an amazing take to have because I never saw it that way. Going to California, it didn't completely feel grounded, but I felt the freedom. And I think that's more so what I was seeking at the time was the freedom. And dive more about how we do the somatic exercises, which you just demonstrated to me. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I was doing somatic exercises this whole time. How do we transform from our careers? Because what did you do before this to get into this space? What was the transformation?
I did expressive arts, was an adjunct English literature teacher. Wow. So I taught writing composition, American literature classes, literary theory to incoming first year students. Where I did my 2 MFAs in creative writing at St. Mary's. So on the side, I was doing my own found object art installations. And in San Francisco, there's this organization called the Asian American Women Artists Association. And they had this show that was an art exhibit at Soma Arts Cultural Center in the Mission called A Place of Our Own. And they asked the question, if you had a place of your own, what would it be? And then we were able to create that place. So for me at that time in my life, I was at this liminal place and I felt like I was at the threshold of really becoming a woman, moving into adulthood. And I created these 12-foot red doors with 83 scarves coming out of the sides. And then I arranged these empty red frames, well, I painted them red, into like a stained glass window on the side. And it was really about sort of encountering myself. And I wrote this essay and did a reading of it and pulled out the scarves and tossed the pages on the floor. It was an embodied experience, and I thought, this is really what art is about for me. It's not about being published, even though we are being published, and I still like that, but really the healing and the whole body experience. So that's when I started moving into arts for healing instead of arts as a profession. Right. I was able to heal a lot of my own wounds. I am like a transnational adoptee, and I don't know my birth until last year. I had never actually been back to Korea, and so I felt very rootless and ungrounded for most of my 20s and early 30s. And through the somatic work, like doing the exercise that we did, through creating my own root system through drawings and through different rituals, I was able to walk differently and feel present in the world and not feel like my history was this empty canvas that could never be filled, but I could actually fill it with my own root system. That gave me the groundedness and the reassurance to really be in the world at a different level than I had been.
You've had multiple shifts.
Yes.
Each one has pushed you to become even more grounded with your identity and who you are. Could you have seen this space to where you are now?
When I was in academia, I loved it. It was what I was familiar with, but I didn't love, teaching people who aren't at all interested in writing or just kind of taking the class to fulfill a requirement and move on. People that I teach in my workshops, they really are there to grapple with who they are and to transform. Passionate about figuring out who they are, as I was and as I still am. Not with all these kind of rigid systems and rules.
Break the rules. Kelsay saw me break rules today, so I'm all about breaking rules. Sometimes I see the world as a separate place than the artist world. Continuing to build in this space, what does it look like for someone? They don't know how to get to this space, how to leave the regular world and to enter into this artist world. A piece of advice you would give them to transition?
Yes, structure is necessary and rules are great for most people, but if you don't fit in those boxes or if that structure feels constricting, then how can they still be themselves without that constriction? But in the expressive arts space, they can draw it, they can move it through their body, they can enact that with me so that it's not being held and constricted in their system. They are releasing it, they are expressing it, and it's out of their system.
Absolutely. If you're ready for that transition, connect with Kelsay. She would definitely guide you into the space of expressing yourself as much as possible, as much as you're comfortable with at this moment, because sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable finding your true self. It's so unfamiliar, not only to us, but to the people around us. What is something that triggered you to say, you know what, I'm moving forward. This is my courage.
In my trainings was an answer to the question, when you're at your best and being of service, that's like what? And when I was asked that, I saw myself as this lighthouse that was shining light out and, attracting the people and the things that were right for me and just, kind of being that beacon. And it was almost like a kaleidoscope light. So, it was many colors and many kind of fragments in many different directions. My coach, told me, well, go find a lighthouse. And in California, you can, in the Bay Area, especially, there are many. So I was able to go and feel the energy of just standing below a lighthouse and looking up at it and thinking, yes, this is the kind of work I want to do.
It's always a blessing to be a blessing.
Yes.
To be a blessing is even bigger than you could ever receive.
That's so beautiful. I love that.
Like, what's the most recent highlight you have had in your business as of now?
I was doing our modern day priestess chapter, getting all the edits done on time. A project that was part book, part art show, part movement called I Love You Because I Love Me Because, and one side of the book is I Love You Because, the other side is I Love Me Because. And it was multimedia, so I did some video essays for that book.
That sounds very nice. I want to look at that.
Yeah.
Send me that.
I will. Yeah, I will.
Are you open to share a tiny bit about your chapter in the Modern High Priestess?
A vision I had earlier this year when I got a new kitten, Zara Rose. And when she came into my life, I felt like destiny was moving. And I've never actually been one that believed in destiny, but that was the word that kept coming to me was, this is my destiny cat. I saw a past life where Zara and I were ruling this tribe of, sometimes I see them as felines. And now that Zara is back in my world, and this time I feel like my power was restored.
Do you ever look back at it and say, okay, well, maybe I was uninspired this year because I needed time to just sit and see the destiny?
That is a great connection. And I think that's probably true. I had to kind of go into that gestating space of really just being and feeling that power return and be with those for most of the year in order to write about it at the very last minute.
So where can the people follow you, connect with you?
Yeah, the best way to find me, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Dialogical Persona, and my website is dialogicalpersona.com.
I always like to leave one piece of advice for the viewers before close-out.
Express yourself. Kind of like the Madonna song, but but it's so true. That's really all we have.
Yeah. I'm Beauty Beyond the Boardroom. Thank you for joining us. See you soon.